As we age, relationships change. It's natural. But what happens when a wife, after decades together, starts feeling distant from her husband? From passionate love to gradual indifference, losing that initial spark. It's not rare, but few talk about it. The fading doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of years of unmet needs, ignored words, forgotten moments. Linda in Portland, Rosa in San Antonio, and Evelyn in Boston, three women who once loved their husbands wholeheartedly, are now facing this truth. It's not that they've stopped loving. They've realized what love should be. The reasons aren't as complicated as you might think. They're painfully real. In today's video, we'll explore why older women feel differently about their husbands and, more importantly, what can be done before it's too late. Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the latest stories. Linda, 68, once thought her marriage to Tom was a dream. They met in Portland in 1975, under the Northwest rain, when Tom was a sweet carpenter who asked, "How's your day?" Now, after 40 years, Linda sits in their wooden house, watching the rain, feeling like a stranger to her own husband. What changed? First, it's the emotional load weighing her down. Linda was always the keeper of the family flame, remembering her mother-in-law's birthday, planning Christmas, booking Tom's doctor appointments when he forgot. According to Pew Research, American women handle 70% of the emotional labor in families, and Linda's a living example. She once embraced that role gladly, but now, at 68, she's tired. Tom doesn't notice. He sits watching the news, not asking, while Linda quietly wipes tears after her sister's death. She once told Tom about that grief, in their small kitchen, as rain tapped the window. "My sister's gone," she said, voice hoarse. Tom only replied, "It'll be okay," then turned back to the TV. Linda stood silent, her words drifting into nothingness. The old script still holds. Women don't need grand gestures, just to be heard with full attention. But Tom doesn't do that anymore. He used to hold her when she cried, gently ask about her dreams. Now he's silent, and she's invisible in his gaze. Linda's exhaustion isn't just from balancing the family's emotions alone. It's from the loneliness of begging for attention that never comes. Portland's sky stays gray all week, as if it's as weary as Linda's heart. She once loved Tom for his tenderness, his arms a refuge. Now there's only a quiet cold seeping through the silences. The emotional burden sits heavy on her shoulders, unshared, unheard. She starts to wonder, why am I still here? Not because she's stopped loving, but because she can't keep loving alone. Tom was once her partner. Now he's just a familiar shadow in the home they called theirs. Linda doesn't blame him. She blames herself for holding on too long, for believing enough love could hold it together. But deep down, she knows if Tom doesn't change, she'll have to leave. Not out of anger, but exhaustion. Cracks now, small as they are, signal a gap not easily bridged. After 40 years of marriage, Linda's not just worn out from the emotional load and Tom's silence. She sees they're no longer heading the same way. At 68, Linda wants to live for herself. She signs up for a painting class at Portland's community center, holding a brush for the first time in decades. The colors on the canvas make her feel alive. She dreams of museums, learning techniques, exploring the world. But Tom doesn't. He's content with the old routine: news, coffee, sleep. The classic script calls it uneven growth. Linda's growing, Tom still. In their youth, Tom cheered her dreams. When she wanted to be a nurse, he bought her books, said, "You can do it." Now, when she talks about painting, he nods, sounds nice, and turns back to the screen. Linda feels adrift. She doesn't want him to become a painter, just to ask, "What did you paint today?" But Tom doesn't ask. The gap widens, not from fights, but because Linda moves forward, while Tom stays put. One rainy afternoon, she brings home her first painting, an Oregon forest, and sets it before Tom. He glances, says, "Nice," and keeps watching basketball. Linda takes it back to her room, heart heavy. Then the kids left home, making it all clearer. Linda and Tom's two children, now grown, living in Seattle and Boise, once bridged them. When the kids were young, Linda was busy raising them. Tom worked at the woodshop, and they had a shared purpose. But now, the empty nest leaves a void no one fills. Linda thought retirement would bring them closer, but Tom has no plans beyond TV. She recalls the script. Women want to grow, but if their husbands don't follow, they feel trapped. Linda's trapped. She wants to travel, maybe California, to see the Pacific. But Tom shakes his head. I don't like leaving home. Linda sits quietly in her small painting room, the gray light of a rainy day spilling through the window. She watches rain streaks on the glass, wondering, am I living or just existing? She's not angry at Tom. She's sad. Sad he doesn't see she's changed. The painting class is the only place she feels she can breathe, but it's also what draws a silent line between them. Tom's not a bad man. He's just not enough. Not curious enough to step into her world. Not present enough to walk this road together. Linda once loved his steadiness, the feeling of being sheltered, but now, that steadiness is a rock holding her back when she longs to step out, to soar. The distance isn't just different interests, it's the raw truth. Linda's finding herself, and Tom doesn't want to find anything. On the table sits that Oregon forest painting, the one she showed Tom, on a day she still believed they could go the distance together. Now Tom sits beside her, holding a brush awkwardly, but earnestly. After months of drifting apart in their own home, Linda doesn't want to keep retreating. She once thought love would die without care, but also knows it can flicker back if both tend the flame. One night, Linda pulls Tom into the kitchen, once a cold space of silence. She looks at him straight, says, I'm tired of feeling invisible. Do you want to keep me? Tom doesn't answer right away. He just nods, quietly, but this time, it's the nod of someone who hears. Linda starts talking about the painting class, the grief left behind, the feeling of living alone in a two-person bond. Tom looks at her, voice low. I didn't know what else you needed. I thought you were fine. It's a start. Linda suggests Tom try painting with her, not to become an artist, but to grow closer. He agrees, clumsily spilling paint on his shirt. They laugh, the first time in years. The classic script emphasizes women don't need grand gestures, just presence. Tom starts asking, what did you paint today? A small question, but to Linda, it's everything. She teaches him to mix colors. He shares old woodshop stories. They rediscover how to talk, step by step. Linda realizes she doesn't need Tom to change completely, just to choose her daily. Beyond painting, they redivide responsibilities. Tom books doctor appointments, plans weekends, small tasks Linda once carried alone. One rainy afternoon, they walked to a nearby park, holding umbrellas, gazing at a real forest instead of a canvas. Tom takes her hand, says, I forgot how much you matter. Linda smiles, feeling seen again. The script's right. Love doesn't fade from age, but from neglect. Linda and Tom are relearning to nurture it. It's not perfect. Tom still loves TV. Linda still dreams of travel, but they're trying. Linda's journey ends not in distance, but in hope. She once thought she'd leave, but now sees Tom wants to stay too. Under Portland's rain, they paint together. Not just pictures, but a future. Linda understands, marriage isn't a destination, but a journey of choosing each other, even in old age. Rosa, 65, stands in her sunlit San Antonio kitchen, the smell of homemade tacos wafting through, but her heart feels empty. She remembers early days with Miguel in 1980, sitting in a small Tex-Mex joint, laughing about dreams. Miguel used to ask, what are you thinking, Rosa? His voice warm, eyes bright with curiosity. Now after 40 years of marriage, he sits in the living room, eyes glued to his phone, scrolling baseball news. Rosa says, I saw an old friend today, and he just grunts without looking up. The script calls this a lack of meaningful communication. Conversations once full of passion, now dull habits, or non-existent. Rosa craves connection, not just a companion, but someone who truly sees her. In their youth, they talked about everything: kids, Rosa's bank job, Miguel's dream of opening a coffee shop. Now if Rosa asks, what are you thinking? Miguel says, nothing special, and turns back to the screen. This silence didn't hit suddenly. It built over years. Rosa once thought it was normal at this age, but she was wrong. She needs Miguel to listen, to share. As the script says, women crave emotional intimacy, but he doesn't anymore. One night, Rosa talks about her last day at work before retirement, voice trembling with emotion. Miguel nods, eyes still on his phone. Good for you. Rosa stands there, feeling like she's talking to a wall. Technology makes it worse. Miguel's not just pulling away. He's lost in his own world. A U.S. study says 60% of people, over 60, spend over 3 hours daily on screens. And Miguel's one of them. He used to watch TV, but at least Rosa could sit beside him, slip in a few words. Now the phone's an invisible barrier. Rosa tried pulling him out. Walk with me. Miguel mumbles. Let me finish this game. But the game never ends. Baseball to news to YouTube. Rosa feels she's competing with that little screen, and she's losing. Under the Texas sun, Rosa feels a chill. She's not mad at Miguel. She's sad he doesn't see her anymore. Early in marriage, they danced salsa in the backyard, laughing loud. Now he only dances his fingers across the phone. Rosa was once his world. Now she's a shadow. The silence isn't just a lack of words. It's the void Miguel leaves by choosing the screen over her. She wonders, am I worth forgetting? The script's right. Love doesn't vanish suddenly. It fades in small ignored moments. For Rosa, it's every time Miguel picks the phone over her eyes. Her journey starts here, with quiet pain, and a question, will Miguel notice before she lets go? Rosa stands before the bedroom mirror. San Antonio sunlight, streaming through the curtains, glinting off her silver hair. At 65, she still sees herself as beautiful. Not the youthful glow of 20, but the depth of a woman who's lived fully. But Miguel doesn't see it anymore. Early in marriage, he'd hug her from behind, whisper, you're my everything. Now after 40 years, he sleeps a bed's width away, back turned, no touch. The script calls this a loss of intimacy, not just physical, but the feeling of being wanted, loved. Rosa longs for a look from Miguel, like when he watched her dance salsa under a Texas moon. But now his gaze is blank, or worse, fixed on his phone. The distance didn't come at once. It began as the kids grew up, when they got busy and forgot to tend to each other. Rosa thought old age would bring them closer. Retirement, walks, cooking together. But Miguel withdrew. One night, she wore a nice nightgown, hoping to spark something. She lay beside him, brushed his shoulder. Miguel muttered, I'm tired, and slept. Rosa lay there, heart stinging. The script's right. When women stop feeling desired, they pull away. In America, society rarely talks about intimacy in old age, like it doesn't exist. But for Rosa it matters. She doesn't need blazing passion, just to know Miguel still sees her as a woman, not a shadow in the house. Then one day, everything shifts. Rosa attends her best friend Maria's funeral, dead from cancer at 64. Under San Antonio's hot sun, standing by the grave, she hears the priest say, life is short, live it fully. She looks around, friends gone, time racing. Driving home, she thinks of Miguel. The script says, in old age, women realize life's precious, and they want more. Rosa wants more. She dreams of the Grand Canyon, feeling desert wind, truly living. One night, she tells Miguel, come with me, just once. She shrugs too far. What's the point? Rosa goes quiet. That night, she sits outside, staring at Texas stars, asking, how long do I have? She's done fighting or begging Miguel. The script's right. When they see life's brevity, women like Rosa retreat, not from lack of love, but to protect themselves. She once lived for family, for Miguel. Now she wants to live for herself. Miguel's not bad, just not enough, not close enough, not alive enough. Rosa stands, the sun fading, her heart waking. She doesn't know if she'll leave or stay, but she knows if Miguel doesn't step up, she'll walk alone. San Antonio's sunset paints the dry grass gold, and her heart feels lighter. After months of silence and distance, she decides not to let Miguel go. She recalls the script. Love is a choice, and it can reignite, if both want it. One night, she turns off Miguel's phone, sets it down, says, look at me, I need you. Not that screen. Miguel's surprised but doesn't argue this time. Rosa spills it all. Her loneliness, her Grand Canyon dream, feeling she's lost him though he's right there. Miguel's quiet, then says, I didn't know you were that sad. It's a turning point. Rosa suggests they dance again, not at a bar, but in the yard. She plays old salsa music, pulls Miguel up. She's clumsy, laughs awkwardly. I forgot the steps. Rosa takes his hand. Just try. They dance. Slow, imperfect, but close. The script's right. Women need to feel wanted. And Rosa sees it in Miguel's eyes. For the first time in years. They don't talk much, but the touch says enough. Miguel starts setting the phone aside, asking, how was your day? A small question, but to Rosa, it's the Texas sky. They plan the Grand Canyon trip. Not right away, but Miguel agrees. This fall. Okay. Rosa smiles, feeling alive again. The script stresses. Love doesn't die from age, but from lack of effort. Rosa and Miguel are trying. They don't return to youth, but find a new way to be together. One night, outside under the stars, Miguel holds her. I forgot how beautiful you are. Rosa leans into him. Sun gone, heart warm. Rosa's journey ends not in leaving, but in reunion. She once thought she'd go alone, but Miguel chooses to step with her. Under San Antonio's sunset, they dance, not just for memory, but for the future. Rosa knows marriage is choosing each other daily, and they're doing it. Evelyn, 70, stands in the kitchen of her small Boston apartment, wiping dishes. Henry left in the sink. Snow falls outside, blanketing the streets, but inside, a quiet storm brews. After 45 years of marriage, she's still doing chores, laundry, cooking, cleaning, though both are retired. Henry, once a construction engineer, now sits on the sofa, watching home repair shows, leaving dirty socks on the floor. The script calls this the never-ending burden of housework. A reality, Evelyn lives daily. Per the Bureau of Labor Statistics, American women over 65 still do 65% of household tasks, even when not working. Early in marriage, they split roles. Henry earned. Evelyn kept the home. She didn't complain. It was 1970s Boston, where women journalists like her rarely escaped the kitchen. But retirement was supposed to be rest. One morning, Evelyn counts. She washes 12 plates, folds 8 shirts, while Henry just makes coffee. She asks, don't you see I'm tired? Henry shrugs. I thought you liked it. Evelyn's stunned. The script's right. Small annoyances, dirty dishes, scattered clothes, grow into big resentments. One snowy day she snaps when Henry leaves wet boots on the floor. Why do I do everything? Henry stares, confused. It's always been like this. Money makes it worse. Evelyn wants to use savings for Cape Cod. A break after years of stressful reporting, but Henry controls the account, refuses. Save it. Who knows what's next? As they argue hard. Evelyn wants to live, not just survive, but Henry's obsessed with financial security. One night, she checks the bank. Enough for 10 trips, but Henry still says no. You think I'm wasteful? She asks. Henry replies, I'm worried about the future. Evelyn scoffs. What future, Henry? We're 70. In America, money's a big marital issue. A survey shows 35% of older couples fight over finances. She once loved Henry for his thoughtfulness. He fixed pipes, bought her anniversary flowers. Now that care feels like indifference. She doesn't want divorce, just to breathe. The burden of chores and money fights aren't the only reasons they're drifting, but they started. Evelyn looks at Henry, wondering, do you see me, or just this house? The script's right. Love fades in overlooked moments. For Evelyn, it's the dirty dishes and unspent dollars. Her journey begins here, with simmering resentment, and a question, will Henry change before she gives up? At 70, she once dreamed retirement would be a golden chapter. Cape Cod, writing memoirs, enjoying freedom after 40 years in journalism. But since Henry retired 2 years ago, that dream's a burden. The script calls it retirement changes everything, but not for the better, and Evelyn lives it daily. Before Henry worked construction, came home tired, but gave her space. Now, he's home 24/7, clinging like a shadow, no hobbies, no plans. Henry doesn't know what to do with time. An AARP survey says 40% of retired American men lack clear goals, and Henry's textbook. He used to build bridges, fix houses. Now he just sits, asking, what's for dinner, Ev? Day after day, Evelyn counts. The first week of retirement, he asked 12 times. She says, cook yourself, but Henry shrugs. I don't know how. Evelyn was patient once, but now she snaps. One snowy morning, she's writing. Henry walks in. What are you doing? Food ready yet? Evelyn throws her pen down. Can't you handle yourself? I'm not your maid. Henry's shocked. I was just asking. But to Evelyn, it's not just a question. It's a new weight. The script's right. Many wives become entertainment committees for retired husbands. Henry wants her to fill his days, watch movies, shop, chat. Evelyn tried, but she's drained. She wants to write, read, or sit quietly, listening to snow. One day she suggests, why not try fishing or learn something? Henry shakes his head. I retired to rest, not work. Evelyn laughs bitterly. What about me? Don't I get to rest? Henry doesn't get it. He thinks being near her is enough. But to Evelyn, it's a cage. She misses when he worked, giving her 8 hours of freedom. She once loved Henry's independence. He fixed cars, handled big tasks. Now he leans on her for every little thing. One night, she escapes to the balcony, breathing cold air, watching streetlights blur in the snow. Henry calls, where are you?
It's cold out there.
Evelyn doesn't answer. She's not mad. She's sad he doesn't see. She needs air. The script says when women feel trapped, they withdraw. Evelyn's withdrawing. Retirement isn't golden. It's an invisible chain. She wonders, how long can I take this? Henry's not bad, just not enough. Not independent enough. Not enough for her to live. After months of stifling resentment, she decides not to let Henry push her further away. She recalls the script. Love is a choice, and it can reignite if both try. One morning, she pulls Henry to the table, says flat out, I'm tired of doing everything. You've got to share, or I can't take it. Henry looks at her, doesn't argue for once. I didn't know you were suffering. Evelyn sets rules. He handles his lunch, cleans dishes, finds something to do besides the sofa. Henry starts slow. First day he washes dishes, clumsily breaks a plate, but Evelyn laughs. Keep learning. The script's right. Women don't need perfection, just effort. Henry tries fishing at the Charles River. Not great, but he's out a few hours. Evelyn gets space to write. Hear snow melt outside. They talk money too. Evelyn persuades. We've got enough for Cape Cod. Live a little, Henry. He agrees, reluctantly, but for the first time since retirement, they plan together. One afternoon, they shovel snow outside. Henry wields the shovel. Evelyn directs. Both laugh when he slips. The script stresses, love revives through presence and respect. Henry stops asking, what's to eat? He makes a sandwich, leaves a dirty plate, but at least he tries. Evelyn feels relief. She's no longer maid or entertainment committee. One night, Henry says, I forgot you need rest too. Evelyn takes his hand. Now you remember, they don't revert to youth, but find a new balance. Evelyn's journey ends in reconciliation. She once thought she'd suffocate, but Henry chooses change. Under Boston's lights, they shovel snow together, not just the yard, but their cracks. Evelyn knows marriage is sharing and respect, even at 70. Linda in Portland, Rosa in San Antonio, and Evelyn in Boston. 3 women, 3 journeys, 1 shared question. Why does love fade in old age? The script lists 8 real reasons, and they lived each one. Linda bore the family's emotional load, unheard by Tom, then grew while he stayed still. Rosa lost meaningful talk with Miguel, then intimacy, and saw life's brevity after a friend's funeral. Evelyn, tired of housework, felt smothered by Henry's retirement, lost her space. They didn't stop loving. They were exhausted, overlooked, and craved more from life. Beyond the 8 reasons, other factors deepened the cracks. Kids leaving made Linda face an empty nest, no bridge to Tom. Chicken technology pulled Miguel from Rosa. His phone an invisible wall. Money stressed Evelyn, as Henry clung to savings instead of living. The script's right. Love doesn't die in one big moment. It fades through dirty dishes, curt ahas, stifling days. Linda, Rosa, Evelyn all felt invisible, not because their husbands were bad, but because they missed their wives' quiet needs. But their stories don't end in distance. Linda reconnects with Tom through painting. Rosa dances salsa with Miguel. At sunset, Evelyn and Henry shovel snow together. They prove love doesn't die from age, but from lack of effort. The script says, marriage is choosing each other constantly. Linda needed Tom to listen. Rosa needed Miguel to touch her. Evelyn needed Henry to share. Latifa. When their husbands responded, love revived. The three added factors. Kids, tech, money can heal too. You face the empty nest together. Put the phone down. Agree on finances. Their journeys teach. Women don't leave from lack of love, but because they deserve to be seen, heard, lived. Linda, Rosa. Evelyn show love as action, not default. Under Portland rain, San Antonio sun, Boston snow, they find each other again. Not perfect, but enough. Linda's story in Portland, Evelyn's in Boston, and Rosa's in San Antonio reflect older marriage in 2025. Society valuing personalization, advancing tech, and shifting gender roles. Linda's drained by emotional labor. When Tom doesn't see she needs to be heard, like when she shared her sister's death, and he said, it'll be okay. Evelyn stifled, as Henry makes her his entertainment, post-retirement, refusing Cape Cod, though she yearns to enjoy life. Rosa drifts from Miguel, as he fixates on TV, instead of dreaming of the Grand Canyon, with her, while she grasps life's shortness after a friend's funeral. These aren't unfamiliar. Pew Research says American women still handle most emotional and household labor, while AARP notes 40% of couples stress post-retirement. Like Miguel's phone, also fuels loneliness in modern U.S. homes. Their lesson: don't wait for others to change. Linda teaches us to voice needs, like asking Tom to turn off the TV and listen. Evelyn shows sharing tasks, like Henry washing dishes, restores balance. Rosa urges living for yourself, like planning the Grand Canyon even alone at first. In American culture, where personal freedom shines, communicate clearly, set boundaries, and chase your happiness if needed. True love doesn't survive on its own. It needs you to choose it daily, even with a handhold or small question. If you want to learn more about keeping love alive, like Linda, Evelyn, and Rosa, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Thanks for joining, and see you soon, to explore more meaningful stories about life and relationships.